Navigate means like move around. And our two text structures that we're going to be talking about today, we talked about chronological order yesterday. So I'm going to put that on this side. I'm going to close that door. And then today we're also going to be talking about descriptive. Descriptive is another. Thank you, Addison. Descriptive is the other one that we're going to be talking about. You do not need to write this down. You just need to write down the title.
So we write the title.
The title, yep.
Next to our,
Yeah.
or the next clean.
Come on, Ryan. Next clean page, title. Okay. So remember, chronological is when something goes in sequential order. It goes first, next, after that, later. And that was our exit ticket question yesterday, right? And we had soon and next. Those were those two keywords that told us that it was going in chronological order. A biography is always going to be in chronological order because it's telling about their beginning years of early life, then their middle years, then their later years, and possibly when they pass away if they're not alive anymore. Descriptive is something that we're going to talk about today. But before we start, I want you to refresh your memory and tell me something that you learned yesterday about their later years. And you're going to write that right underneath, their early years. You're going to write that right underneath the title. So for your first question, you're activating your schema. What is something you learned yesterday about their early years? One thing. That's your beginning introduction question. Please write it down underneath the title. Go.
I didn't stay for that long. I had no go and I missed really all of it.
You weren't here for the whole reading lesson?
Yeah, remember we got back. He got it as soon as it ended.
For reading the.
Then you can just wait. Yeah. My friends at home, you are also writing this down in your notebook or on your piece of paper. So I should see everyone writing down something they remember about the Wright brothers' early years. Logan and Amaya, I need you to turn your camera on, please. Thank you. All right, giving you 15 more seconds to write down something you remember about the early years of the Wright brothers. Justin, I hope you're writing something down because you're my first friend I'm calling on. All right, put your pencil up in the air when you are done. All right, Justin, tell us one thing you remember about the Wright brothers' early years. It could be about Orville or Wilbur or both.
Both. Because when they dad bought them the bat, they named it, and then they tried to make a bigger one, and every time it broke, they fixed it back together.
Great. Did anyone else write about the bat? Was the bat a bat? No, the bat was a toy plane, right? Like a helicopter. Yes, they called it. Good, Justin. That was that played a major role in their life. Something else. Who would like to share in here? Ryan, what do you remember from the early years?
I just said they were very close.
They were very close brothers. They were 4 years in age, but they did everything together. Remember, they said they even finished each other's sentences. Good. You can put your pencil down and have your eyes up on the screen. So a biography is about a person's life, or in this case, two brothers' lives, right? I've got a quick vocabulary about biographies. This one's pretty cool. It actually has Beyonce in it. And then we will continue reading about the Wright brothers.
Yeah. All right. Biographies. Let's get into it. Check it out. Here's a story, but not the made up type. Okay. A true story. Yeah, I'm talking real life. A biography is when another person writes about the events of someone else's life. This person is the subject. They are our interest. All facts, so we call it nonfiction. Biographies are usually about famous people, from Thomas Jefferson to Evel Knievel. But biographies can be about any girl or guy. It can be someone you know, deceased or alive. You might ask, hey, why can't I write about me? You can. That's called an autobiography, written in first person, me, myself, and I, also called memoirs, an account of someone's life. A good biography would tell us more than just the facts. It's a look into the way our subject thinks, feels, and acts. Even if it's written about someone in the past, their true life experience is what we aim to grasp. And sometimes biographers add their own opinions, the author's point of view about our subject's existence. Now that we've learned about biographies in verse 1, verse 2 will teach us what it takes to write one. If you really want to know about it, then you should read the biography from birth to now. What's in between the ups and downs, the hopes and dreams. If you want to tell the world about me, then you should write a biography from birth to now. What's in between the ups and downs, the hopes and dreams. Everyone follow me as I write this story, a fascinating tale of fame and glory. Our subject, someone whose voice goes a long way. I'm writing about the one and only Beyonce. First, I do the research, so I can write the facts using primary and secondary sources for that. In 2016, Beyonce talked to Elle magazine. She discussed her fashion career, amongst other things. A first-hand account of the life of the queen. That's a primary source, y'all. See what I mean? A secondary source is someone other than me, analyzing her life, her work, even her dreams. Okay, Flowcat, now let's get information. We got our subject and all our information. Okay. To help you write, we ask these 6 questions. 5 W's and 1 H abbreviated. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Let these questions be a guide as you're writing down information that will become a biography. You see? Now, who wants to write one about me, please? If you really want to know about me, then you should read the biography from birth to now. What's in between the ups and downs, the hopes and dreams. If you want to tell the world about me, then you should write a biography from birth to now. What's in between the ups and downs, the hopes and dreams.
Biography. That was
Right. You might see that one again because you might.
Is Beyonce still singing?
She is still singing. You might see that again, and you might be taking the quiz on it. So now I'm going to actually mute myself. Hi, I'll make you a co-host in just a second.
I'm so sorry. I have to deal with something.
You're fine. Let me do that now. And then everybody's got their reader's notebook. Switching my computers. So much. You guys just want me to leave the lights off? Are you able to see?
I can see her.
All right, so we are going to continue reading. We've activated our schema from yesterday. I did tell my class, and you guys are welcome to at home and in Miss Caldwell's class, if you want to write down something for your writing piece in your notes, you are welcome to do that. But you also need your reader's notebook out. We're going to be reading about their middle life and when they actually flew the first plane. So that's what we're going to be writing about today. Everyone said something that they liked or that they learned yesterday from the early years. So let's get started. This was where we left off yesterday, right? Where we talked about chronological order. Let's see if I can move this up so I can go. And what was the last thing they had did? They're printing,
They started making bicycles.
yes, their printing press shop didn't work. So then they started making bicycles. They started a bicycle shop. Pretty crazy, isn't it? All right, let's go to our next page. When did Wilbur and Orville decide to build an airplane? So now we're getting into their middle years. They're in their 20s now, or maybe mid-20s, 30s, and we're in the middle years right now. Later years is when they're older and then when they passed away. Yeah, your 20s and your 30s and your 40s. Yeah. So the brothers first got the idea of inventing an airplane in 1896. They read a newspaper article about the German inventor Otto Lilienthal. He was testing a glider when it crashed and he was unfortunately killed. This is a glider. It kind of looks like an airplane. Mm-hmm.
Those are warplanes.
The man Otto, the German inventor, was killed, not Orville or Wilbur. A glider is an aircraft that looks something like a small airplane, but without an engine. Remind me at the end of the lesson to pull up a glider and I'll show you what it looks like. But it does not have an engine, so it glides by the wind. Okay?
Yeah, so it doesn't need any force to push it.
Yeah, it says it's held up by wind and air currents. Soon, the brothers were reading all they could about flying, so they were really interested in flying. They found that people had long dreamed of soaring like birds. Around the year 1485, so long, long ago, Leonardo da Vinci imagined a flying machine with flapping wings. Others built giant balloons filled with hot air that rose up in the sky. Has anyone ever seen a hot air balloon? Maybe not in person, but online. This is a hot air balloon. Yeah, I've never been up in one. Has anyone ever been up in one?
I don't recommend it.
I think I would be too scared of heights. But that's another way that people used to fly before planes were actually invented. Many built gliders, but no one had built a safe and useful flying machine. The Wright brothers decided to give it a try. So on here, we've got some great nonfiction text features. Who can give me one text feature that they see? Axel, what's one text feature you see? One nonfiction text feature that you see. What? Think about headings, photographs, pictures. Are there any bold words, captions? What's one you see, Axel? What? Caption? Picture. Illustration. We've got illustrations. We've got a sketch or a drawing. We've got a caption here, and we've got a heading. All right, good. So now this brings me to our next text structure. And that is, yesterday we did chronological order. And today, let me pull it up. We are going to be talking a little bit about descriptive text structure, and of course now my computer won't load, is when they give you lots and lots of great details and description about what they're talking about. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull up your notes from yesterday. If they can load. I thought they were up. My apologies. as you can see, that's the first one. So who can read that for me? Someone online, read me what it says about description or main details. And my friends in the classroom, you have it at home. Natalie, read us what that says.
The person, place, or things and lists its features and characteristics or provides examples.
Good. So it goes into detail about something, a person, a place, or a thing. Some signal words might be to illustrate, characteristics, for example, such as, to begin with, for instance. So we're going to take a look and see, and we are going to write down what the descriptive details are in this, on this page. So, do you see where they say they're talking about soaring like birds? Soaring like birds, which is, I'll reread. Soon the brothers were reading all they could about flying. They found that people had long dreamed of soaring like birds. That's very descriptive, right? That helps you to picture in your mind a bird soaring in the air, right? So that is very descriptive. It helps the reader visualize what you're talking about. And flapping its wings, flying machine, the Da Vinci imagined a flying machine with flapping wings. And then what do they say about the balloons? The others built giant balloons. They didn't just say balloons, they said what, everybody? Giant balloons. Is that giving you some extra descriptive detail? Yes, so we're going to write that down in our reader's notebook. All right, so you got your reader's notebook, pencil up. Bryson, head off the desk. And this is on page 20. So what I want you to do is I want you to write page 20. We're going to do a quick little chart. It is descriptive. Where do you think? Yep. You don't need to do a chart the whole page. And then we're going to give the example. What did they say? Soaring like birds. And what else did they say? Giant balloons. And then I'm going to draw a line all the way across. So I've got the page number, I've got the text structure that we've talked about, and then I've got two examples. Can you guys see with the lights off on your paper? You good? Okay. And think, descriptive, the word in it is describe. So that descriptive text structure, you're looking for ways that they describe a person, a place, or a thing. And in this case, they described the plane like it's soaring like a bird, and they described a thing, a balloon, as a giant balloon. Okay. Put your pencil up in the air once you have that down. My friends at home, same thing. Pencil up in the air. I see Justin's ready. So is Alden and Talia and Henry and Liliana and Alexis. Good, my friends. All right. I'm going to switch back to our book. All right. Next page. And you can put your pencil down, eyes up here. Ooh, we've got a great, what is this, everybody? This is a photograph. Great nonfiction text feature. Why did the Wrights build a giant kite? First, the Wright brothers built a giant kite shaped like a glider. They wanted to find a way to steer it. No one had yet solved this problem with flying machines. Wilbur studied how birds fly. Birds raise one wing and lower the other to make a turn. Could the Wrights steer the kite by twisting its wings? Raise your hand if you've ever flown a kite. Has anyone ever gone to the beach and flown a kite? It's hard to steer, especially in the wind, isn't it? Yeah.
You're in the air with it.
You're on the ground if you're flying a kite and you're steering. Yeah, it's hard. So imagine if you're trying to steer something even bigger than a kite.
I just go on windy days to fly my kite.
Yes, you want to go on a windy day. The Wrights ran cords from the kite's wingtips to small sticks that they held in their hands. When the kite was in the air, they pulled on the right cord. The kite turned to the right. When they pulled on the left cord, the kite turned to the left, and it worked. All right, and you can see this photograph is a side view of a glider flying as a kite. Wilbur and Orville are holding the long cords that are attached to the tips of the kite's wings. Once the kite was in the air, they steered it by lowering the wing or the other. So they steered the glider like a kite. I want you to give me a stop and jot from this page. So you're going to go back to your chart. We're on page, and we're not going to do this for every page, but we're on page 22. And I want you to just give me a stop and jot. And you're going to do it right here.
Wait, can't this say stop and jump?
Yeah, I just wrote that so we know what we're doing, what it means. Something you found interesting from that page, something that you think is important from that page.
You're writing everything you write.
And then you're writing your stop and jot. And I'm going to pull that back up so you can see it. Something that you think is very important from this page. Why would they include this in the book? Yes. What? No, you're putting down a stop and jot. Something you found interesting from this page, what I actually read. Yeah, we're not putting down a text feature. We're putting down a stop and jot, okay? You've got like 20 seconds because then we've got to keep on going. We've got a lot to read today. I'm going to turn the light on. All right, who wants to share their stop and jot? Someone in Miss Codwell's class, what did you write down? Someone in here, Juan, what did you write down?
So she said that it shows how much work they put into going to make an airplane by like making a glider and making a kite and all the different steps they had to do.
Yes, excellent. Thumb up if you agree. My friend's in here. Axel, put it away. Lots and lots of work. It took lots of time. My friends in the classroom, I need your head off the desk. I need your elbows off the desk. And I need you fully focused. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Yes, it took them a lot of time and a lot of hard work. It didn't just come naturally. All right, let's keep on reading. What happened after that? Ooh, I'm excited to read what happened after that. Then next, the Wright brothers built a glider big enough to carry one person. And we've got that transition word for chronological order. What is it, everybody? Next. Good. They put it together at their Dayton bicycle shop. It had two wings, one above each other. The glider's wooden body was covered with white cloth. So what was the glider made out of? Wood. Yeah, interesting. The pilot laid down on the lower wing, and you can see him right there laying down on the bottom wing. His feet rested against a wooden bar. Wires connected the ends of the bar to the wingtips. By pushing with one foot, the glider turned to the left. So like he used his foot to steer. He would turn to the left. By pushing the other foot, the glider would turn to the right. In the front of the bottom wing was a flat panel that the brothers called the elevator. The pilot controlled the elevator with his hands. By raising or lowering their elevator, the pilot made the glider go what? What do you think? Up and down, like an elevator today. Pretty crazy. I'm going to zoom in on that so you can see. Is this an illustration or a photograph? This is an actual photograph.
I don't see him laying down.
He is right here. Do you guys see? My friends at home, do you guys see? So he's laying, he's steering, here's his hands, and then you can't see his feet, but they're over here. So he's steering up and down with his hands. He's steering left and right with his feet. And he is up high in the air. Raise your hand if you would do that. Anyone at home, would you do that? I don't think I would. I don't know if I could. Bryson in here said he would. Anyone at home? Alden said he would. Henry and Talia and Alexis have said, oh, we've got some brave friends. And Aiden and Logan and Layla. Pretty cool. I will tell you, I went hang gliding when I was in my 20s, when I was in Europe. And that's kind of similar to that because you're laying and you're flying. And it's pretty crazy. Pretty cool. Yeah, it's like bungee. Yeah.
It was scary.
Yes, you would. Addison said she
face my fear of heights.
Yes, I was with someone. But he was all by himself, and this was back in the early 1900s. Let's keep on reading. Now we're gonna read how does a glider fly. A glider flies when the air under the wings pushes up harder than the air above pushes down. A glider's wings are curved on top and flat on the bottom. The shape of a glider's wing is important when the glider is moving. As the glider moves forward, the air flowing above the wings flows faster than the air flowing under the wings. Fast-moving air does not press down as hard as slower-moving air presses up. To get off the ground, the glider must be moving quite fast. Gliders get up to speed by rolling down a hill or being towed, which means pulled by something. At the right speed, the stronger air pressure beneath the wings lifts the glider and holds it up in the air. And it shows you the motion over here. And then this is what a modern day glider looks like. Very different from an early 1900s one.
Yeah, it looks.
So what's cool about this book is it kind of stopped and gave you some additional information. This page didn't have anything to do with the Wright Brothers, but it just told you how. And then I'm going to skip this next page. This has some experiments for you to try. You're welcome to borrow my book and try them. Maybe we can at some point. All right. When did the Wright Brothers test their glider? You will be doing another stop and jot, and this is page 30. So please make sure, as I'm reading, you do another stop and jot for this chapter. Okay? We are going to share that out. This is when did the Wright Brothers test their glider? So now we are in the middle years of their life when they actually started to figure out how to fly a plane. The first test took place in the summer of 1900. So how many years ago? My friends online share as well. How many years ago? 120. Yes, 120 years ago. The brothers shipped the glider to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, which is in the outer banks of North Carolina on the Atlantic Ocean. Kitty Hawk is on a strip of land with big sand hills that you call dunes. We have dunes here, right? Those little sandy hills with the grass on top, when you go to the beach, those are dunes. Now in Kitty Hawk, they're huge. It's almost like a mini mountain. They're really, really big. They're bigger than the ones here.
If you get on them.
The glider could pick up speed rolling down the dune. Because remember, they said a glider needs to roll down a dune or a hill. And in case of a crash, the sand would cause less damage. Would you rather crash on concrete or sand? Sand. Me too.
Concrete.
I know you're joking, Alden.
I
Also,
would like to do it on concrete.
Also, winds blow there all the time. They would help the glider fly. Each day, the brothers made at least a dozen flights. Make sure you get your stop and jot down. I'm not going to give you time after. The best ones lasted just a few seconds and covered only a few hundred feet. So they tried it like 12 different times. They only lasted a few seconds and they only went a few hundred feet, not very far in the beginning. In 1901 and 1902, the brothers built 2 more gliders. So they had now built a total of 3. They made thousands of test flights. Finally, they were ready to move on. And while you're finishing up your stop and jot for this page, here is a great photograph of Orville and Wilbur and probably some other people, because there's someone else here as well, because you can't really see, but one of them is flying, and then you've got 2 people kind of helping.
It doesn't look like it can fly. Wait, they're not even on the plane.
There is one person on the plane. I don't know if it's Orville or Wilbur, but you can see him right there.
That is not
You see?
either.
Yeah.
That's probably the two guys below.
They're kind of guiding and cheering, and they were probably helping with takeoff.
Yeah, they're
To
probably
push it down the dune.
Oh, wait, they're standing on a hill.
This is page 30.
Aren't they standing on a hill?
That's the dunes. That's the sand dunes.
They were just flying. I was like, what are they doing?
Yeah. All right. So I want to hear some stop and jots. What's something that you found important on this page? Brayden, something that you wrote down.
They tried to fly like 1,000 times a day.
They had multiple attempts every day. Very good. Let's hear from someone at home. Lily, what's your stop and jot?
I said that they did a dozen flights in a glider.
Very good. Yeah, that you and Brayden. Yes, you and Brayden had the same thing. Let's hear from someone else. Sebastian, what did you find interesting or important on this page? Sebastian, read us your stop and jot.
The first test took in
1900. You're right. 120 years ago. Excellent. Yes. So all of those are important. Very good. And I know Miss Caldwell's class, you were sharing with Miss Caldwell. Let's keep on keeping on. All right. What was the next step? Wilbur and Orville began to build an airplane powered by a gasoline engine. Okay, so now they're getting even bigger. Before, the glider was powered by what? Wind. Very good. The new plane looked like a glider, but it had an engine. So it still looked similar to a glider, but there was an engine in it. The engine was connected to 2 propellers. Remember, the propellers are what spins. With extra long bicycle chains. Why would they put bicycle chains? Where did they get that idea? From the bicycle shop. Very good. The engine turned the chains and made the propellers turn. The spinning propellers would push the airplane forward. When the airplane was moving fast enough, it would lift up into the air. The Wright brothers made the wings the same shape as the glider wings. So they were curved on the top and flat on the bottom. You can kind of see that in this photo. Curved on top, flat on the bottom. The stronger air pressure under the wings would raise the airplane and keep it up in the air. Propellers were built like the wings of a glider or an airplane. The front of the propeller is curved like the top of a wing. The back side is flat. As the propeller spins, the slow-moving air behind the propeller pushes hard. The fast-moving air in the front pushes less hard. The stronger push sends the airplane forward. And this photograph shows the Wright Brothers airplane is ready to be tested. Notice the small black gasoline engine on the on the bottom wing, the two propellers, and the two rudders on the back. So let me zoom in so you guys can see. The engine is right, and I'm going to walk around with my book. The engine is right. Oh, that's way too. Let me zoom out one. The engine's right there. You guys see it? So I'm pointing to the engine on mine.
Wow, that's creative.
Pretty cool. Pretty creative, yeah. Like this, they literally thought this up all by themselves, okay? No one else told them to do this. They used the bicycle chains. Pretty crazy.
What if it gets too heavy?
They had to make sure it wasn't too heavy so that it would fly. You're right. They had a lot to think about. All right, you are doing a stop and jot for page. Did I skip my pages? For page 34. When was the brothers' first planned flight? On December 14th. So in just a few weeks. 1903, Wilbur and Orville were ready to fly. They put down a 60-foot wooden track on the sand. On top, the men placed a small cart with wheels. Gently, they set the airplane on the cart. The plane, which they named the Flyer, so that was the name of the plane, would take off on this track. So it's kind of like we have today when you go on a plane, when you take off, they have a runway where it's like a long, flat road so that they can pick up speed.
But they don't just go straight. Sometimes
they turn, but then when they're actually taking off, it's long and straight. Yeah. The brothers tossed a coin to see who would fly first. So heads or tails. Wilbur won. He climbed in and lay face down in the middle of the lower wing. The spinning propellers pulled the plane along the track. It was a great moment, but the plane did not lift up. Instead, it slammed right into the sand. Luckily, Wilbur was not hurt. The plane was hardly damaged, so that's good. The plane wasn't damaged. Wilbur wasn't hurt. Wilbur had tried to make the plane rise too quickly, they thought. Their next job was to fix the plane. All right, get your stop and jot down if you haven't already. So what this shows is the front view of the Wright Brothers 1903 plane, the Flyer.
They lived for a long time.
This is page 34.
They have history.
Are you doing your stop and jot, Jordan?
I already did mine.
You already did yours. Good. We're going to share out in like 15 or 20 seconds
I didn't.
because you've already done it. You should have been doing it while I was reading. If you don't have it, make sure you get it now. Okay. I'm going to call on 3 friends. All right. Aiden P., what's something you wrote down for that page? That first flight in 1903. What did you find important?
I found that the first time they wrote it, it didn't work. It didn't practice.
Yeah, it didn't work the first time. Very interesting. Who haven't I heard from in here yet today? Bryson, what did you find interesting?
Brothers got the engine, but I think it's too.
But the brothers had the engine and it's ready to go, but they think it's too heavy. And then someone in Miss Caldwell's class, what did you guys say?
All right. So it kind of said that in 1903, December 14th, that they were ready to fly the very first time.
For the very first time. All right, let's read to find out what happened 3 days later. This is the last page we're going to be reading today. What happened on December 17th? You will have an exit ticket for this page. You will have 2 exit tickets, actually. So, 3 days later, the Wright brothers tried again. So they didn't just give up, did they? Were they like, oh, this didn't work. We're done. Nope, they fixed it. 3 days later, they were trying. The morning was very cold and windy, because remember, it's December. Neither man was dressed for the weather. Each wore his usual outfit, suit, white shirt, tie, and cap. At 10:35 in the morning, 5 friends helped Orville and Wilbur get the plane ready to fly. Now it was Orville's turn. So, who flew the 3 days ago? Wilbur, and then now it's Orville. He lay down and started the engine. It coughed and sputtered loudly. Have you ever heard an engine of a car start up? Sometimes it's not, it doesn't sound as great as it should.
Sound really mean on
Yeah.
Lamborghinis, Ferraris.
Yes. The propeller spun around faster and faster. Orville let go of the wire holding the plane. It started to roll forward. Wilbur walked, then trotted, finally ran alongside the flyer. And the flyer rose up into the air. The machine wobbled and swayed, but Orville got it under control. It flew 120 feet, which is about half the length of a football field. The flight only lasted 12 seconds, but it was the first time a human had ever flown an airplane before. And this is so cool. Wilbur ran alongside as Orville became the first person to fly an airplane. Notice the narrow takeoff track. It's very, very narrow. You can't, it's really, really skinny.
It looks like
Yeah.
one of those
So
planes
that
I
is pretty awesome. My 2 exit ticket questions for you. My friends in the classroom, you're going to write it in your notebook. My friends at home, you're going to write it in the chat. I'm going to pull up on the screen what your exit ticket questions are. You guys can go once we're done with that. Okay? So you have 2 questions today. So if you guys want to skip a line and then just write exit ticket.
I was gonna do that.
Yeah. So and you do not need to write the question, you just need to write the answer. Question number 1, I want to know, how did they decide who was going to fly on December 14th and December 17th?
I think it was 13th, not the 14th.
Let's see. What's my book say? 14th, yeah. And then my second question is, what is the difference between chronological text structure and descriptive text structure? I'll do this one in blue.
One of my favorite colors.
And you can look back in your notes. Remember, my friends online, you do have this notes page from yesterday, day 31.
Is this an opinion question or not?
No, neither of these are opinion questions. There is a right and wrong answer. You've got notes in there too. All right. Please send us a private message in the chat. You guys, once you have it, I want you to raise your hand. You don't need to. What you can do is you can erase this line right here, and then you can write 1 and 2. You don't need to write the question, just the answer.